Good morning, saints of the Most High God. Now, I don't know what you've heard, and I don't know what you've been waiting for, but I stopped by to tell somebody that after July 2025, things will not remain the same. No, no, no. This is not just another date to circle on the calendar. This is a divine appointment on heaven's timeline. And I need you to hear me today, not with your ears, but with your spirit. Because what I'm about to say is not just a good word, it's a God word. See, July 10, 2025 is not just a Thursday. It's not just another block on the calendar or another hot day in the middle of summer. No, family. It's a divine checkpoint, a spiritual marker. It's a day when God is setting things in motion that have been brewing for generations. See, God doesn't operate on our time, but he does move through time. And there are certain moments, certain days where heaven intersects with earth in a unique and powerful way. Just like Passover was a moment, just like Pentecost was a moment, just like the day Jesus walked out of the tomb was a moment. This day coming is not insignificant. We've been drifting, we've been distracted, we've been dulled by our comforts, numbed by entertainment, and lulled to sleep by convenience. But God has a way of shaking us back into focus. And that's what this day represents. It's an awakening. It's an alarm clock ringing in the spirit. It's God saying, wake up, church. I'm about to move, and I need you to be in position. Let me put it this way. Have you ever had a moment in life where you just knew something was about to shift? You couldn't quite explain it. Maybe nothing around you had changed yet, but in your spirit there was a stirring, like the calm before a storm or the stillness right before the curtain goes up in a play. That's what this moment is. And let me tell you what I believe God is doing. He's calling his people back to spiritual alertness. Because the devil's not asleep, the culture isn't asleep, but too many of God's people are walking around spiritually drowsy, singing songs on Sunday, but sleepwalking through Monday. We've been living under the influence of distraction, but July 10 is about to snap us out of it. This is about more than prophecy. This is about preparation. Because God never sends a storm without warning his people first. Just like Noah had to build an ark before the rain came, we have to build our faith, build our obedience, build our intimacy with him before the flood of change breaks out. I remember a time when my own family hit a wall. Things we thought were stable started falling apart. The ground beneath us began to shift. But looking back, I realized it wasn't the enemy attacking, it was God repositioning. He was setting us up for a greater assignment. But I wouldn't have seen it if I hadn't stayed close to him in that season. That's what this moment is about. It's about tuning your ear to heaven. It's about asking, Lord, what are you saying to me right now? What are you calling me to leave behind? What are you telling me to pick up? Because July 10 isn't about fear, it's about focus. It's not a day to dread, it's a day to discern. To recognize that while the world may be shaking, the kingdom of God remains unshaken. So don't brush this off. Don't treat this like another word from another preacher. Ask the Holy Spirit to confirm it in your heart. Because this is a divine moment, and if you miss what God is doing in this moment, you may miss the setup for your next season. I believe God is about to open eyes, break chains, and release instructions. But he's only going to do it for those who are awake, those who are listening, those who are ready to move when he says move. So wake up, church, wake up, believers, something is coming, and God is saying, get ready. Let me tell you something, after July 10, 2025, you're going to start seeing something you can't ignore anymore. God is going to draw a line in the sand. There's going to be a separation, not between rich and poor, not black and white, not even just believer and unbeliever, but between those who are fully his, a divine distinction. God is about to make it unmistakably clear who really belongs to him. We live in a world where people like to blend in. Church folks want to camouflage. We want the blessing of the kingdom, but the comfort of the culture. We want to praise Jesus on Sunday, but we don't want to offend anybody on Monday. But after this spiritual shift, that in-between space is going to disappear. The fog of compromise is lifting, and the light of truth is coming in strong. I'm talking about a spiritual sorting, not to shame, but to reveal, to expose who is serious and who is just sitting. You can't fake fire when the furnace gets hot. And God is about to turn up the heat. Not to burn you, but to brand you. To mark you as his. Do you remember how God treated Egypt and Israel during the plagues? The frogs, the darkness, the death. All of Egypt was suffering, but over in Goshen, where God's people lived, there was peace, there was light, there was protection. That wasn't by accident. That was divine distinction. And God is about to do it again. He's going to make it obvious who is under his covering, not based on their title, not based on the church they attend, but based on their obedience, their alignment, and their surrender. And listen, this distinction won't always look like promotion. It might look like preservation. While the world is spiraling, you'll be standing. While the markets crash, your needs are met. While confusion reigns, you'll walk in clarity. That's not luck. That's kingdom living. That's the favor of being marked. You see, in this coming season, people won't just ask what you believe. They'll see what you believe by the way you live. Your lifestyle will be a testimony. Your endurance will be a witness. Your peace will preach louder than a sermon. Because in a time of shaking, stability speaks. And when everything around you is falling apart, but you're still standing tall, people will want to know who you're walking with. God is tired of part-time saints. He's tired of spiritual tourists. This is not the time for folks to keep one foot in the church and one foot in the culture. You're either all in or you're going to be left out. Because when this line gets drawn, it won't be a pencil line that you can erase later. It will be etched in fire. Let me give you a picture. Imagine a football game where the players are wearing the same color as the referees. Now, nobody can tell who's calling the game and who's playing. That's the mess we've been living in. Christians looking just like the world, talking just like the world, reacting just like the world, but God's about to put his people in kingdom colors. You're going to be set apart, not for pride, not for popularity, but for purpose. This is not the time to be ashamed of the gospel. This is not the time to play it safe. If you've been hiding your faith, God's about to put you in a situation where you either shine or shrink. And he's looking for those who will shine. He's looking for Daniels in Babylon, for Esthers in the palace, for Josephs in Egypt, for people who will live righteously in an unrighteous world, for people who don't just show up to church, but carry the church within them. You were never meant to blend in. You were born to stand out. That's what this next season will reveal. This is the time when salt has to be salty and light has to shine. And if we do that, God will use this distinction not to divide for destruction, but to separate for elevation, to lift his people up so that the world will look and say, surely their God is real. Because when God draws that line, he's not just identifying you, he's activating you. He's getting ready to use your life as a billboard for his glory. There's a shaking coming. And let me tell you, it's not the enemy It's God. He's doing the shaking. He's rattling what we thought was secure. He's shifting what we thought was stable, not to destroy us, but to deliver us. Because sometimes the only way God can get us to move is by shaking the ground beneath our feet. We've gotten too comfortable, too used to the routines of religion, too dependent on the systems of this world. But God didn't save you just to sit in a pew and survive life. He saved you to transform the world around you. And sometimes, before God brings revival, He allows disruption. He allows the shaking. You look around and it feels like everything is being shaken. Politics, the economy, relationships, churches, leadership, even our very sense of truth and morality. The ground is trembling beneath institutions we thought would never fall. But that's exactly how God works. When He gets ready to elevate, He starts by exposing what can't be trusted. Hebrews 12 tells us that everything that can be shaken will be shaken, so that what is unshakable will remain. That's what's happening. God is shaking the counterfeit so that only the kingdom remains. He's shaking religion so relationship can rise. He's shaking comfort so calling can come alive. He's shaking idols so His people can see Him clearly again. Do you remember the story of Gideon? God told him to cut his army down from thousands to just 300 men. That didn't make sense. It felt like a step backward. But God was shaking His dependence on numbers, on manpower, on human strength. Why? So that when the victory came, only God could get the glory. That's the kind of season we're entering. God is shrinking our false security. He's reducing our props. He's eliminating our spiritual crutches. Not because He wants us to fall, but because He wants us to lean completely on Him. He wants to raise up a people who don't waver in the storm, because their foundation isn't built on sand, it's built on the rock. And this shaking, it's not just external, it's personal, it's spiritual. God is going to shake your pride, shake your compromise, shake your secret places, not to humiliate you, but to heal you. He's going to stir up the things you've been burying, wounds you haven't dealt with, sins you've been tolerating, fears you've been feeding, because He loves you too much to let you stay stuck. It's going to feel uncomfortable. It's going to stretch you. But if you lean in, you'll find that the shaking is not the end. It's the beginning of something deeper, something greater, something eternal. Some of you are in the middle of that right now. Everything's shifting around you. People are walking away. Doors are closing. Prayers seem unanswered. But could it be that God is moving things out of the way so He can move you into place? Could it be that He's shaking what's around you because you've been building on the wrong foundation? Let me tell you from experience. There were seasons when I thought God had abandoned me, when everything familiar was being stripped away. But looking back, I realized He was just rebuilding me from the inside out. He was making sure my faith wasn't in the blessing, but in the blesser. Not in the platform, but in the presence. So don't be afraid of the shaking. Don't resist the shift. It's a divine setup. God is breaking the ground so new roots can grow. He's knocking over the old structures so that something stronger and purer can rise in their place. This shaking is necessary. It's holy. It's how God clears out the clutter so He can fill us with fire. Because only when the dross is removed can the gold shine. Only when the soil is turned can the seed sprout. Only when the winepress is crushed can the new wine flow. So don't misinterpret the season you're in. If you're being shaken, you're being chosen. If you're being tested, you're being trusted. If things are shifting, it means God is preparing to shift you into purpose, into power, into a place where you no longer just survive, but begin to thrive. Let him shake what needs to be shaken so that what he's building in you and through you cannot be moved.